Welcome everyone. Welcome to Tech Talk Friday. And every Friday we do Tech Talk. Today's Chinese New Year, and me wearing red and everything. I thought today will be a time where we can relax a little bit and maybe take in some sun and have some fun. But Karamjit Singh, as always, he's always got a guest. He's always on the go, and he calls me a workaholic. But this fella insists that we had to do Tech Talk Friday on Saturday. I'm like, look, let's do it today and let's get it done. But so the work keeps going and going because Karamjit Singh never stops. So Karam, we are Friday, Chinese New Year. We did it on New Year's Day. We did it on Christmas, I think.
Yeah.
Goodness, we never stop. I want to take a break, but not allowed by the good old Karamjit. So Karam, who do we have today, and what's in store for Tech Talk Friday today?
I think so. Actually, it is interesting because we've got Anbaraj Supia, and he's actually now his big thing he's doing now is that he's about to organize the KL Startup Summit, which is end of March, right? So he will talk about that, and that'll be one of the articles I talk about also for today. But more than that, also Anbaraj is also a co-founder of this thing called Jom Hack Malaysia. Jom Hack, okay, which of course Jom is the Malay word for hey, come on, right? So Jom Hack Malaysia, and his premise is that he wants to make hackathons cool again. And I looked at that, and this was in 2016. So in a way, he's saying that the hackathons which were launched by the pioneers like Dash, Dakshinamurthy, who I think may be listening to this show while he's going for his walk outside. And even Bikesh, he's kind of hinting that their hackathons were not cool. Okay, maybe he's hinting that, I don't know. So if they're listening there, let's see what they have to say.
Because, so the guy who's challenging Dash and Bikesh is going to be on our show. And Karam says, what Karam says is the rule of law. So we've got Anbaraj joining us, right? Shall we bring him on?
So quickly, before that, so Anbaraj has been, he's been running his own digital agency since like 2006, I guess, or a bit around that point, right? It's called Pixar Creative, right? Pixarworks Creative, and Pixarworks, Creative. So, and then I think in 2016 he started getting into the other entrepreneurial forms, which is this hackathon and organizing, even startup conferences also. I was going to call them festival, but they're startup conferences, right? He's been involved helping Cyberview to organize Cyberjaya Startup Week and all that also. So he's become a deeper player of the ecosystem. And I thought, because remember 2 weeks ago, actually last week, Khairi wrote an article on his website to talk about the impact of, my hackathon, right? The one that was organized last year. And then also last year for 5 months, this Swiss corporate called Roche, they organized a hackathon. Although their hackathon was, they called it an immersive experience because theirs, Roshan, went on for 5 months. So it's not your typical 24-hour or 48-hour hackathon where, you don't sleep, you don't eat, and you come out ending, smelly and hating your group, right? Because they're not as good as you or whatever. So this is an immersive kind of hackathon. And I thought it would be good to get Anbaraj on to say, whether hackathons have evolved and do they really add value? Because Khairi strongly feels that the hackathon that his ministry organized last year, that was his idea, his baby, was really valuable because you managed to get participants from 6 states in the country, right? Penang, Johor, Sarawak, I think Sabah also, Terengganu, right? And of course, Klang Valley, right? And so you democratize it so people from everywhere get to participate, right? You increase the chances of people having their ideas, a platform for their ideas. And I thought he really bought into that. Then you hear Roche doing it, and Roche did it in 2019. Last year, of course, it had to be the virtual version, right? And I spoke to the 2 leaders of Roche, and they were very gung-ho that it was a positive experience for them. But being a journalist and a bit cynical, I'm wondering, really, is it something? Because, for those of you who are aware, the word vaporware also came out from the hackathon ecosystem, and they used the word vaporware because you're all excited. You want to, the idea is you can build a company in 48 hours or 72 hours or 24 hours, right? A minimal viable product, and you're going to spend time after that building it to become the real deal. And it doesn't happen despite your best intentions. So they say you're actually building a vaporware. And one of the hidden secrets of the hackathon world is that hackathons actually never lead to companies being formed. But here, I want, that's why I'm hoping that Bikesh or Dash, or even High Slick Low one of the pioneers in organized hackathon, they chime in and give their opinions lah. But
Okay,
we've
so
got
let's get
the man of
Imbaraj.
the hour is Anbaraj lah. So we bring
Okay, so
Imbaraj.
let's get Imbaraj. Imbaraj, welcome to the show. And I see a red background there. Karam wearing yellow. It's all
Yeah,
in the Chinese
I just
I
theme.
should
want
have worn
it
my
to be
Jom Hack
bright.
t-shirt lah.
You should have done a lot of things. I think all of us should be doing lots of things, but sometimes we miss doing that. So I'm going to leave you in the hands of Karam Jade because Karam insisted that I ask too many questions and I'm too capo. But that's supposedly that's my curiosity apparently never killed the cat as far as I found out. But Karam doesn't like that. But so I'll leave you in good hands. So Karam, take it away and grill Imraj. All right, welcome to the show.
So
All right, thank
Imbaraj,
you.
before we, so I already gave you a background a bit. If I miss any salient points, please share with the audience. But really, this thing about hackathons, right? Whether they are valuable for corporates, whether they're valuable today, right, in 2020, 2021, whether they're valuable for corporates, whether they're valuable for the startup ecosystem, tech companies, and of course whether they are still relevant and valuable for government. So I wanted to get your opinion on this, and totally feel free to disagree with me, right? And feel free to disagree with Roshan, especially since he doesn't have the mic. So what are your thoughts on
Sure.
this? And then
Right,
you can move on to the KL Startup Summit that you're organizing.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much, Karam, for having me today.
Sure.
Yeah, I know you tried to get me into trouble with my friends, but no, what Dash did, what Mike did, and what even Haslick did. I mean, these guys all inspired me to do this now, right? I mean, that's how
Okay.
I learned how to do hackathons and all. Because at
Interesting.
that time, I joined their programs as a mentor. I helped them to, run things. So that's where I got into this because my background, I'm a remote sensing engineer by training,
Yeah, I
right?
saw that.
I
Yeah.
used to do, yeah. So I used to do satellite based mapping. That's what I was in. But IT has always been a passion. But and then I got into the business right when I became an entrepreneur. So I run a digital agency, Pixarworks Creative. I've been running this for 15 years now.
15.
But along the way, I got into a bit of ecosystem building work through events like Webcam KL. Then we started bringing people together and talk about startups and business, and that's how I got into this. And yeah, then I started a smaller offshoot group from that called Open Coffee Club KL, which I've been
Ah,
moderating for about 9 years now. You've been to some of the
wow.
meetups as well.
Yep.
Yeah, and you know how those sessions like 7-8 years ago gave birth to some of the startups you see now that are worth 10-20 million, right? That's where the founders came and had coffee with us and discussed some ideas, and then some of them went on to build amazing startups. And
Okay.
yeah, so and I'm very proud of that work. But of course, it's all that is very casual, right? Nothing
Yeah.
formal. They were not structured programs, so I can't even take credit for that, right? I can't say like, oh, my program created all these startups. But I'm so happy that at that point they came there and probably they met their first investor there, their first co-founder, their first employee. So yeah,
Yep.
I'm just happy to be involved, right? But over the years, I also wanted to do more structured programs,
Okay.
things that are a bit more impactful, right? So that's how I got into doing Jomhack. So I looked at the hackathon that was done before, amazing hackathons, like what Startup Weekend used to do, right? Even Startup Weekend is more of an ideathon,
Yeah.
amazing stuff, right? And I just wish more of those programs just kept on going. But some of those programs are no longer there, of course, for various reasons.
I
But
guess
what
I'm thinking because they're no more there because the sponsors weren't interested anymore. Because Dash told me that when he organized Startup Weekend, it was actually for even Indonesia and Singapore also. So he got the franchise or whatever, right? He was entrusted with organizing it in 3 countries. So I forgotten about that now today, but it's 3 countries. So
I mean,
something major,
for
you need sponsors, but now
yes.
apparently that's dried up, I guess.
Yeah, so for ecosystem builders or community builders like us, right, it's actually not very easy to get support because some of our programs don't really have commercial value, right?
Okay.
There's no ROI. I mean, people want to invest into startups because there's ROI there, right? It's a business, but they necessarily wouldn't want to sponsor like a hackathon if they don't see value in it or it doesn't bring anything, right? Because sometimes we want to do programs to benefit young people, talents, and ecosystem, but that may not be a good business for other people to put money into, right? So there's always that struggle, which is also why I had to take a different direction, right? So on one side, we do community building work, we do a lot of programs that are accessible to everybody. Personally, I believe that I shouldn't make money off startups. That means if I'm doing a program for the startup ecosystem or startup founders, I would like to make that free and accessible for everyone or very minimal cost and try to bring in a corporate funding or a government agency to come and sponsor that event. That's generally the approach I take, right? So for Jomhack, it was actually, so like I said, I saw other programs, right? So these guys, the one you mentioned, they did great work. But I
Wow.
also
So,
saw a lot of
to
other.
their credit, then I guess that they laid the foundation for you. So you
Yes,
stepped on their shoulders, right? Stood on their shoulders to do what you're
definitely,
doing.
definitely. I
Okay.
mean, if people like Mike and all, I never met them and had coffee with them, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now, right? Yeah. So, but I saw also other things, right? Other programs that was being done, which were very, what to say, they didn't have like a clear purpose. It was all just
Okay.
for PR buzz, just to do an event with young people. You put 200
Yes.
people in a office, in a building, take some photos, and then hey, it's a great PR event for a corporate. So I didn't see a lot of value in that. So when Jompeg was actually born together with MDEC, right? So when MDEC came to me and said, hey, we want to do some hackathons to introduce LoRa technology in Malaysia. So I thought, all right, let's do this, right?
Sorry,
So then
what
that
is LoRa? Low what?
LoRa, LoRa. So LoRa is
Ah,
the IoT technology, right?
correct, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. So at that time in 2016, LoRa was a buzz, but we didn't have LoRa hardware here. The technology
Okay.
wasn't here physically. So a lot of our tech people were discussing LoRa, but nobody got to try it. So MDEC had a KPI at that time for some reason to introduce LoRa technology in Malaysia. They really wanted to, support the IoT ecosystem. So then they collaborated with me and said, okay, let's do this, right? So the first hackathon, we actually brought this organization from Amsterdam called the Things
Mm.
Network, and we brought the hardware from Amsterdam. We did a LoRa hackathon in Cyberjaya, and that
Oh,
was
okay.
my first Jom hack. And my first Jom hack turned out to be quite good.
Mm.
And the way we did it, it was really good because it was had a very clear purpose,
Okay.
and the outcome was great. The products of the hackathon were great, and
Oh.
MDAC was very happy with the outcome. And then we actually went on to do another hackathon. And out of that, we actually ended up having a LoRa hardware in Malaysia, right? So our friends from Cytron, they then decided to build LoRa hardware locally in Malaysia. And after like about I think 3 months, we did Jom Hack Penang, also on LoRa technology, and the entire
On
thing
in
was done
2016 or 2017 then?
same year, same year.
Okay.
So within a few months, our friends in Penang started making LoRa hardware. So our second hackathon, we spent like a fraction of that cost and got the hardware sourced locally, and we did another hackathon to introduce further, right? So more people got to play with the technology, and I believe some of those guys are now still working in that space, right? Working in LoRa and all that,
Wow.
thanks
So
to
I'm
that
guessing
event.
that. So you what I'm hearing for you is that the hackathon in 2016 were kind of accelerated the adoption
Yep.
of and creation of LoRa technology, right? And enthusiasts in the country, I guess, right?
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
among at least the young people, right? Because they didn't have the access. The big corporates had access, right? They bring
Sure.
the technology on their own. But for the young people in the ecosystem, so some of them I see in Facebook now. I still keep in touch with them because they do join a lot more hackathons, right? They do
Okay.
join my other Jom hacks. Yeah, so and they are still working in that space. So that's how Jom Hack was born. But
Okay.
what happened after that is then more people started coming to me and say, "Hey, can you do a hackathon for us? We heard you guys did a great hackathon. So can you do one for us?" So that's how it
Okay.
started. So we worked with iFlakes, we worked with Telecom Malaysia, and
Mm.
great outcome, right? So
Yep.
what I do usually is I always sit with my partners or clients and
Okay.
look at the outcome of the event, right? Because
Okay.
to me, I go with the approach where I'm a community builder. So I'm not
Yeah.
an event organizer, right? So I'm not an event organizer or
Okay.
a conference organizer. So I don't go there to just run an event and make money. That's not my aim, right? Which is also why I think our Jom Hack has been a bit more successful in terms of outcome, because when clients come to me and say, "Hey, we want an event, we want a PR bus," I'll walk away. I'm not
Okay.
interested in that, because to me, it's always about what value can you bring to our community, and how can we bring value to you. So it's always about bringing win-win situation,
Okay.
which is how we ended up working with some great clients, right? For example, I have to name Hong Leong Bank.
Hmm.
We've done 3 hackathons with them 3 years in a row, and we are working on the fourth one for June coming up, a regional one for 5 countries.
Really? A
And we
regional one. Okay.
Yes. So actually, we're supposed to do one in Ho Chi Minh last year, our
Oh.
first regional international one, but because of COVID, had to be cancelled. But we just completed the third one in November last year, and it was a first virtual one for them. Great outcome. They loved it. So they're like,
Oh.
okay, let's do another bigger virtual one for 5 countries that they are in ASEAN. So
Wow.
yeah,
So how? So you have to organize the 5 countries, so simultaneously or at the same time, but
all
each
together,
country
yes.
localized to each country, or is it a ASEAN
No,
hackathon?
all one event. So it's going to be one regional event where all the 5 countries. But of course, the marketing we have to do a lot of localized marketing. But we are
So
hoping to
how?
bring everybody in.
Okay. So Hong Leong is, I guess, Hong Leong is they've obviously got a presence in these 5 markets also, correct?
Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. And then how do
In
they
the
get
countries where they
value?
have office.
So how do they get value from this? Is it just from the excitement in the technical, in the geek, in the nerd community that this is going on, and they get a bit of branding, and maybe they of course look for people, because I guess corporates want to recruit good talent also. So this is a way, or hopefully some good ideas come out also that they say, hey, that may solve a problem of ours.
Yeah, so this is how we try to align the interest, right? Because when we talk to a corporate partner, for example, we have to align our interest together with theirs. So then we can create a win-win situation. So if you look at like the Jomhack website, right, we put there like the 4 main objectives of a hackathon. One is recruitment. You can use it to recruit great talents. Another one is community engagement. Now, a big corporate can engage like the tech community or startup community in the ecosystem, right? It's a great event to do that engagement. Another one is ideation, right? Great ideas which you can commercialize. And another one is branding, right? Just simple branding and PR, which is to me is a very low priority, right? Okay. But of course, for corporates, it is something we have to provide them. So, and when we sit with most partners, this is what we offer them. And for example, with Hong Leong Bank, their number one priority is recruitment. So our hackathons are always designed for recruitment because we want to identify the best talents that Hong Leong Bank would want to hire, right? And at each time we do an event, they have like 50 to 100 vacancies. And for them, it's like to be able to interact with 200, 300 talents. And directly, personally, their scouts can talk to them, and then usually once we finish the event, they give a LOI letter on the spot.
Seriously, yeah, I never heard of that. Wow,
to come back for interview. Aggressive. Yeah, so that's how.
Aggressive.
Yeah, so for us, right, it's great opportunity for the talents in our ecosystem, right? It's not just about coming and winning some cash prizes. Of course, cash prizes are great, but after that, what happens? So we try to create those opportunities in place. So instead of just doing an event and giving some cash prizes, taking some photos, what happens after that? So, which is why when we sit with partners like Hong Leong Bank or even Bursa Malaysia, when we share our vision and they share a vision and we click immediately, right? It's like, okay, this is exactly what we want and this is exactly what you guys want. We have synergy. And when we don't click, I don't work with those kind of partners.
But you just did Bursa. Bursa's one was much more. Was it targeted also around robotic advisory, or what was their purpose?
Bursa's event was the main objective was to encourage Malaysians into retail investment, because Malaysians don't invest so much, right? I think the statistics that we shared was only 7% of our working population invest in Bursa Malaysia and the stock market and all that. So it's a very small
good enough, man. Already the stock market is a record high, so you want more to go in.
So for them is, but they also saw, there are a lot of new interest during the MCO. A lot more people started investing. People started buying glove shares and all that, right? So they thought, hey, this is a great time to do more, which is great, right? They wanted to engage. At the same time, they also wanted to engage the tech ecosystem. They realized there's a lot of ideas in our ecosystem. There's a lot of great talents, and they wanted to see what these young talents can come up with in terms of apps and all that. Because they also noticed, the banks are doing hackathons and a lot of cool apps are coming up. And they love the outcome as well. Like the top 10 teams when they presented, actually when the top 20 teams presented in the semifinals, they were like cracking their heads. How do we even shortlist the top 10? Because the outcome was so great. And even before that, actually last year after the MCO, we did 3 virtual events. The first one was actually for IOI properties. So prop tech, generally a very dry topic, right?
Yeah.
But when the top 10 teams came to, because that time we could still do a hybrid event, so we did a virtual hackathon, and the top 10 teams came and presented on stage in Marriott Putrajaya. So when they presented in front of the executive director of IOI properties, she was mind blown. She's like, wow, we have this many talents in Malaysia thinking this way, right? Because we had like teams doing big data, trying to predict what kind of property someone like Karamjit Singh will buy. Right? Now, IOI properties will know exactly which condo I should promote to you and the highest chance of conversion.
in Chateaus in France. I don't even know if I'm pronouncing the word right.
Chateau.
Okay, but Anbaraj, very serious. I don't mean to scare Hong Leong away. Okay, they are your sponsor, but there is such a crying need for tech talent, right? Engineering talent in the country, that I would be shocked if they can come and if there are even 20 of the people who participate are actually looking for a job, because they are probably attached with other people already, right? There's a dire need for tech talent. So I'd be very surprised if you're going to say that your hackathon you're going to organizing for them, you'll suddenly find even 50 people who are technically savvy and actually they're available to be hired. I'll accept your letter of offer or whatever. That would be amazing, because everyone is asking me, Karam, can I want to look for someone here, 5,000 to 10,000 salary. I say, really? Hey man, I want that, man. So amazing salaries people are willing to offer also, and they can't find. Okay.
For hackathons, right? Generally, we do get a lot of the 9 to 5 types joining, because most of the startup types, the entrepreneurial types, they're busy launching their businesses and all that, right? Especially the startup guys, they're busy building their apps. They're not really
Okay.
interested so much in the hackathons. I think in the early days, hackathons targeted the startup people.
Yeah.
And then that is why I think they realized, hey, nobody's interested in this anymore. But if you look at the 9 to 5 people, right, there are a lot of tech people working for big MNCs, big
Okay.
corporates. I think some of our top talents are in Malaysia are actually stuck with corporate work
Yeah,
because
yeah,
it
yeah,
pays well,
for
right?
sure.
It pays well, so they stay there. Maybe that's why you don't see that much innovation in the startup space. You see there's no talent, but the talent is actually there. For example, I had a client, F Secure. They're one of the biggest security companies in the world, right?
Correct.
I mean, this is on my agency side, and they have, I think, like 200-300 developers sitting in their building in Bangsa South, just
Bangsa
coding
South, yes.
stuff, and they pay really well. So some of the top coding talents in Malaysia are just in that building
Sure.
doing work for one client. So they are not out innovating and building startups. So yeah, talents are there. And so when these talent come for a hackathon like this, right? Because for them it's outlet, a 9 to 5 guy, weekend, they just want to join a hackathon, win some cash prizes, and do something cool, right? And these people, so when they're offered a good job, they always consider it.
Oh, okay.
So we do have a lot of people who are interested in career opportunities. But that aside, especially for Hong Leong Bank, they also have a good track record of working with startups, for example, right? They have the HLB Launchpad,
Yeah,
their
yeah.
own accelerator program. So they also take teams with great ideas who are not necessarily looking for a job, but hey, I want to work with you. So they bring these teams in, they incubate those guys, and they try to give them pilot projects. Some of the startups have successfully white labeled their apps, for example, to put into the Hong Leong Bank ecosystem.
Oh,
So
okay,
there are a
okay.
lot more opportunities, right? So if it's not money, it could be market access. Imagine
Okay.
suddenly having access to like a few million subscribers of your partner, and they push your product in. So you can make so much money through that, right? So
Okay.
there are a lot of opportunities. So for us, that's what we do. When we talk to a partner, okay, what opportunities can you provide for our talents? Cash
Yeah,
prizes,
yeah, yeah.
yes, right? Great. But after that, can you provide job opportunities? Can you provide incubation opportunities? Can you provide market access? Can you provide follow-up funding or investment? So we try to set all those things, and when we have some great opportunities on the plate, that's when we promote the event, and actually that's how we promote the event, right? The opportunities. That's why we want this young talent to be, because I don't want to just make use of this community that I've built over the years just so that I can make some money.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
believe in that, right? I mean, if I'm a pure event organizer, that's what I would do, right? I just want to do an event. I want to get the biggest crowd I can so that I can
Yeah.
make money and get some good PR. But here we always go with the community builder approach because we have built this community and we represent that community. So I cannot just like
Nice.
kind of exploit them to make money,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So that's the approach of Jomhack, and I believe personally that's what has made our events a bit different than others, and I would say more successful. And at the moment, I think I can safely say we're the leading hackathon organizers in Malaysia. If you search on Google,
Oh,
we're
no,
also number
Dash,
one.
you heard that now. Nicely, you heard that now. Oh, boy,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. I mean, they're no longer doing it, right? So I don't blame them. I would be. I mean, and they are also my mentors, right? So when I do events, Dash is on board. I invite
Oh,
Heislake.
okay.
So whenever I do events, because what I do is I bring a lot of people from the startup ecosystem as my mentors. So for example, when I'm doing a datathon, so our last event for Hong Leong Bank was a datathon, so it was a bit different. It wasn't not a coding hackathon. So
Okay.
we brought all the data scientists and data analysts in our startup ecosystem on board as mentors. So we had like 15 of these guys mentoring the teams, and they were all
Wow.
involved. So I always bring in all our friends from the ecosystem. And when we do a coding hackathon, then you have all our startup founders, our CTOs from all the big startups. I bring them on board as mentors. They are
Okay.
the ones who are guiding the teams to come up with all these cool ideas. So our ecosystem players, our friends in the ecosystem are always involved in my
All
programs.
involved. Okay.
Yeah, so I mean, I can't do it alone, definitely, right? And I can't just
Correct,
hire a
correct.
team to do this. I mean, this kind of work, sometimes I have to explain this to my client as well, right? You can't just hire a bunch of people and do this kind of program. It takes a lot more, right? This is more like an ecosystem and community
Yeah,
building
yeah,
work.
yeah.
So
Correct.
I have to bring somebody who's running a big startup who has raised 2 million ringgit to come and share. And I can't hire that person either, right? I have to
Yeah,
bring in
yeah,
like a
yeah.
mentor. So which is why I have a small team of my team that can run the event. But whenever I do this event, I always work with people in the ecosystem and bring them on board as mentors and partners. So every
That's why
event that we
you
do, yeah,
That's why you talk about ecosystem being very important. It's an intangible when you throw out the word ecosystem, but really then it's the relationships you form over a long time, right? Where somebody like the Joel Neo or Kylie or Patrick Grove would say, yeah, I'll spend half an hour with your guys, right, talking, and that's invaluable to them because the participants may never ever get a chance to listen or to interact with guys like this, correct?
yes,
With
yeah. Like
Kamaro,
for example, yeah,
Muhammad of Aerodyne also. So I understand that part. So
yeah.
with,
Like
are you
previously
going to
when we
say
did the
that?
Cyberjust Startup Summit, right? Kylie came on board as one of the keynote speakers, and he gave a great presentation on funding ecosystem, how to raise fund. even some of the things I never heard before, right? About when exactly a startup should raise funds or when exactly they should start, looking for
Yep,
investors.
yep.
And that, I think, just a short, like half an hour session, but it was so valuable. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
these are the kind of stuff you can't find on YouTube. So
No, no, no.
definitely you have to be here to listen to him, right? Yeah. So it's
Okay.
amazing what you can do when you have that network in that ecosystem, that you can bring all these resources
Pandila,
together
yeah,
to.
you can call them and they'll say, hey, Anbaraj, okay. Okay, Anbaraj, just before Roshan jumps in, when you talk about Hong Leong, so is the Hong Leong Hackathon, the regional one, is one of the key value proposition you're going to offer to the community when you promote the event, is that, hey, Hong Leong is got 300 vacancies, right, in their cybersecurity or innovation or engineering department, and there's a chance that they're going to give you a letter of offer at the end of the 2 days. Do things like that actually still happen? And would you actually be brave enough to make that offer, or Hong Leong says don't make that offer, but we reserve the right to do that anyway? Because you want to make that offer because you got 2,000 people want to join the hackathon, right?
Yeah.
So how do you
So
balance
no,
that?
we usually discuss that with the client first, right? So before every event that we do discuss that, confirm with the client, and when they tell us, okay, we do have 100 vacancies, but we don't like put out numbers because we don't have promised things. But we tell them yes, job opportunity is one of the offers, right? But of course, for the purpose of the hackathon, cash prize. So that is confirmed, right? You win it, you get like 10,000 or
But
20,000.
people, but cash price is small. I feel that if you want to take part in a hackathon, and even the one that Kyrie, not Kylie, Kyrie,
My
got two
hackathon.
Ks now, KJ, right? Which did
Yes.
the value proposition was that they were actually solving pain points that a government department, a
Yep.
ministry, or a local authority had, and that's very powerful, right? Because
Yes.
the client is saying, hey, I got this is a real pain in the ass thing for me, can you solve this? And people come together and try to create the best solution for that problem. And you know that the winner then, and actually it happened with the winners there were 18 winners for their marathon hackathon, right? They get two versions. The marathon
Yes.
was the more serious one, and those 18 companies or teams now are actually now working on fleshing out the full product, right? Because there's a client waiting at the end, and I think that's amazing. Forget about the
Yeah.
cash prize, right? So, but
Yeah.
you mentioned cash prize, so sounds like the cash prize is still a valuable proposition and not the particular solution that Hong Leong is hoping they'll solve. So, sounds like the Hong Leong hackathon is more broad, right? Or did they come up with a particular theme? So, and don't have to mention Hong Leong, but do clients still come to you with a broad proposition, or they come with we're going to offer 3 specific pain points we have and organize your hackathon around this?
Yeah, so usually we have problem statements. For every hackathon, we have like 5 to 10 problem statements, right?
Okay.
But the cash prize is just a tradition. When you do a hackathon, you do need to have a cash prize because you also want to attract the best talents, right? Otherwise,
For
they may
those who are
not be
only in
that.
it for the money, lah. So you want to attract those who only
Yeah,
want
I
to come
mean,
because they'll.
to
Okay.
me, I always say, of course, this is about the opportunities, funding, jobs, and all that. The cash prize is just a bonus. But personally, I want to make the cash prize attractive. But sometimes the cash prize, the client decide, right? I might suggest
Of
5,000, but
course.
the client will say, let's give 20, just because they're feeling generous. So it's not
Understood.
exactly about just simply putting a big price just to make it attractive. It's just about how the clients are feeling at the time. Sometimes they just feel very generous and they decide to up the price, right? So for me, it's like the bigger the price, the happier I am
Okay.
because somebody gets to win this prize, right?
Yeah,
It's an
yeah, yeah.
opportunity for. I mean,
Understood.
the 20,000, somebody can launch a startup with that, right?
Yep.
So to me, I'm just very happy that the clients are willing to do that. But even if somebody offers like 3,000 cash prize or 5,000 cash prize, there'll be still. I mean, currently we are doing a very small mini hackathon for Engine X from Singapore, the F5
Oh,
Engine X. The first prize is a drone, so we don't have a big cash prize, but it's a small mini challenge. But it's a DJI mini drone because they said it's an American company. Their policy is they are not allowed to give cash prizes.
okay.
But we already have like I think 70 registrations within like a few days. So yeah,
70
people are
teams
interested.
or
Yeah,
70 individuals?
these are individual, so it's an individual challenge. This one,
Oh,
but
individual
just
challenge.
yeah. So within just a few days after we launched the form, we had like almost 70 plus 80 registrations. So
Wow.
uh,
Okay.
the talents are interested, whether you give them cash prize or not. It could be a drone or could be anything. They want the opportunity to showcase their talents. They want those other opportunities. They want to be able to learn, right? Because when they join
Yeah.
a competition like this, they learn a lot of things. Yeah, so the cash prize is not really a must, but I just like to put it there because it's good.
So
It's good to give
when you
prizes, lah.
say they learn, if
Mm.
who are they learning from? Is it the mentors like the CTO? You may have the CTO of Aerodyne, right, or the CTO of
Yes.
another drone company. These are
Mm.
the people that they'll be bouncing ideas off. Like, is it? That's where then the participant
Both.
gets to learn. Correct?
Yeah, and also the corporate people, right? For example, when we worked in Bursa Malaysia, for example, right, we had like 15 mentors from our side, Jom Hack guys, right? So these are people from the ecosystem, startup founders, and all that. But from Bursa, we also had about 15 people who
Wow.
work in different parts of Bursa Malaysia. Who on a regular day you can't access them, right? You can't just walk into Bursa and say, I want to talk to somebody from the investment
Yeah,
department or
yeah, yeah.
securities department. You won't have access to those people. But like the director of the securities department was there. So some of the big shots, very like influential people were there, right? And you had direct.
Okay,
It
okay.
looks like I think we just lost audio from Anbaraj. We'll just take a quick break and we'll be right back here on Tech Talk Friday. So we'll take a quick break.
Jackie 啊，
Okay.
你有捌聽啲咧叫 app 叫 Nicole 咯？
Nicole 是什麼？
唔是啦，我教你講 app 了嘛。嘅你看啲 Nicole 你看，依家了後真正是 article、podcast、courses 嘅啊。我教你講啊，你愛變好名，你愛好名，
愛好名啊，第啲
你愛吞你無？
吞這類咯。
啊，所以啊，你特別用 Nicole，做咩事？
是喎
你睇了啦，你看誒 article 嘅了，你睇了，你變真搞嘅，知無？
唔嘢冇，嚟我看
有
啲。
影你看啲 article 看按照好名，按照吞這類，哇！哎呀，你睇。
你一日一日看，可能咪轉嚟做狗。
有啦，甲你講了嘛，你咪聽，當今你特別去看，特別看個了，
啊
拍個了，
你講你這邊
搞
我
OK，好，我哋先好到嚟。
If you can. No. You can come in. You'll be very
Welcome
welcome.
back to Tech Talk Friday, and I think we have Karamjit back with us today. And I think
And I
Anbaraj
just got a very exciting call. Dash was listening to the show and he wants to join in. And once Shashi allows him in, because he also wants to share his comments.
Dash is upset that Karam said that Anbaraj is doing stuff that is 100 times better than what Dash is doing or whatever.
Okay, 100 times. Okay.
So Dash is like, hello. He's trying to put some comments in, but Karam refuses to allow. So he just calls Karam and says, Karam, I'm going to come on the show because how dare you say that Bikesh and me do lousier hackathons than Anbaraj. While we wait for Dash to come in.
You guys can hear me now?
Yeah, can.
We always do a very
Okay.
quick, what we call a test your guess challenge. So Anbaraj, you have to answer a couple questions, and then as soon as Dash is almost on, he's going to get his audio sorted out. We'll have the debate between Karam, Dash, and Anbaraj, because Dash is fuming mad that his hackathons is not worthy of Karamjit Singh. Okay, so with that, that's your challenge, your guest challenge. Quick question, Anbaraj, what is more interesting to you, listening to an entrepreneur or watching Netflix? I mean, you were just on Clubhouse, so you answer this right.
Listening to entrepreneurs, especially if they are somebody very specific, right? Somebody that I want to learn from.
Okay, good.
Also,
So
Netflix, I'm running out of things to watch. Since
Karam's
the first
answer-
MCO, I'm just running out of things to watch on Netflix.
Okay, that's good. Because Karam's answer was Netflix, so good. At least you're one up on him. Okay, what's so cool about being an entrepreneur?
Being an entrepreneur, I would say making money. I'm not going to discount that. I know a lot of people say a lot of very beautiful things about entrepreneurship. I'm going to say making money. I come from a very low middle class background. Money was always a big issue growing up. And the only way I think my family can uplift ourselves out of poverty was entrepreneurship. And that's the direction I took. And I'm very happy that I took this direction.
Okay, great. Okay, so the quick question. Are you trying to grow a beard to look as good as Karam?
I actually always keep it trimmed because otherwise I look a bit too old. So people always say, when my beard is longer, they actually know my age. But when I keep it trimmed, they always say I'm 10 years younger. So I keep this look.
Okay, so we know you're 20 something, right?
Yeah.
10 years
That's the digital age.
Okay, quick question. Tell us your favorite show on LinkedIn TV.
Huh? There's a LinkedIn TV, first of all.
We are
Okay, what
LinkedIn
is
TV now, right? We are
What is
LinkedIn.
LinkedIn TV? Okay, I have no idea what LinkedIn TV is.
I mean, we are on LinkedIn, right? Literally.
Or like
Okay,
this, like
okay.
this talk shows and all, yeah.
Favorite
Okay,
show?
If it's not Tech Talk, something is wrong with you, okay, never mind. This is a bad question. Okay, here's a very important question. Tell us how you'll be feeling if you're stuck in a lift with Karam for 8 hours.
I think we'll be fine, because I talk a lot. He talks a lot. I know him personally, right? I mean, I think we can probably 8 hours probably won't be enough, right? after they open
No,
the lift,
no,
they'll be still talking.
not enough air in the lift, So we gotta just practice our pranayam, slow breathing, like David Blaine. I'll teach you the technique. Don't worry.
I don't
All
trust you
right.
can do that, Karam. I think you'll be talking.
You almost passed the Tech Talk Fridays test yes challenge. Okay, we've got Dash here, so I'm gonna bring Dash on the screen. Dash,
Awesome.
welcome to the show, Dash. Great to have you. And I think
Boss.
Dash is jogging or walking or doing something that we are not sure what. Hopefully, it's legal. But
He's probably
Dash,
jogging, yeah.
hands of Karam, who's just declared that Anbaraj does better hackathons than you. So go for it.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. I'm just going for my long walk when Karam said, are you available? So, so I said, yeah, why not? I have my AirPods, I have my mobile phone, I've got my charger. So, and Inba is a player in the ecosystem, a great player, great contributor. And I see right opposite me, Khairi Jamaluddin is running. Yes, here it is.
Oh, seriously, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah. So we have all these people. The ecosystem is here.
Wow. Well,
I always call Dash boss and then he gets annoyed. But that's the only way I can call him, right? He's the boss.
no, you're not. He wants to be called Maharaja. You must call him properly. Give him the due respect. Boss is for everybody. You go to Mama also, the guy is boss. No, you must call him overlord.
Okay, Karam, so are you going to grill Dash now?
Yeah, no, but Dash, because Dash was one of the pioneers. So Dash, I think you're listening to Anbaraj. Are you surprised that there seems to be like corporate interest coming back and being sponsors and seeing value in hackathons? Because you did it way back in the day, and then it kind of the interest dissipated. So I don't know. What do you think?
I think to be honest, yeah, I think there is a lot of value in corporates playing the hackathon game. I mean, if you look at the Facebook like button, it was born out of a hackathon.
Ah, yes, that's one of
I wanted to mention that earlier, then I forgot.
So, and there are a lot of things. I think even Twitter was born of a hackathon. And I think most importantly, Malaysians or Asians should always think that hackathon is always a trigger. A trigger, not always that it's an outcome, something worthwhile will come out of it. It's a trigger for learning, trigger for creativity. And when a corporate does like a Hong Leong or does a hackathon, they are encouraging their employees to also think like entrepreneurs, immerse themselves in entrepreneurial thinking, that it's okay to be wrong. It's okay to test out, rapid fire thinking. So I think hackathons, as long as we don't say, oh, the KPI has to be a unicorn be born, but it's a trigger, So it's a great trigger, I think.
Exactly.
Interesting. But I guess, he mentioned their employees. So, Anbaraj, do you know if it's like when your clients get involved, right? Do they encourage internal teams to take part also, like what Dash mentioned? Because I didn't hear that from you. So,
some do, but most of our programs no, because most of our programs they want fresh ideas from outside. Like the TM one, we opened up because initially it was supposed to be an internal hackathon, but then I told them if it's just internal hackathon, it's gonna be boring, right? The same guys doing the same thing. So I thought, why don't we open up so that your staff can go invite their friends and we make it an open hackathon? So that's what we did. So we actually had a lot of TM staff participating and also outsiders, and they also invited MMU students who are their university. Yeah, so that was quite an interesting, fun hackathon. But for most other hackathons, they always want outsiders to come in because they want just fresh new ideas. But I always suggest that that's always an option. But of course, there were a lot more discussions with other partners, which the event didn't materialize. But yeah, we always discuss that as one of the options to make it a hybrid event. So to just create more innovation within the in-house team as well.
So,
I think with sorry, Karam, go ahead.
Go ahead, Dash. Go ahead. You think?
No, I think with the COVID and all the pandemic, right, with so many business models changing and all that, companies can actually tap on the creativity of their own staff because they know the business to, suggest or come up with new thinking, because that's the best way for companies to see whether they can reinvent part of their businesses, any part of the businesses. So I would think hackathon is a safe space for even employees to test out ideas that has been brewing in their minds.
Okay. I think when you say safe space, the company I think if a company is just organizing a hackathon now and saying, guys, come and come up with crazy ideas, doesn't matter. I don't think that will work in a corporate culture, because you're trying to you're trying to turn on a switch, but they have to invest time to create the environment. Then only you can do a hackathon where I say, guys, go crazy, nothing is off limits. Because
No, but that,
I bring that up, Dash, because the Roche hackathon that was just organized, the guy who runs because their Asia Pac shared services outfit is based out of Malaysia, and the gentleman who runs it, Martin something, said that they focus on university teams, and he said he loved the ideas coming from the people, because it was all unencumbered with hierarchy and fear, right? And he mentioned that, so he said and his people also like the ideas that are coming from them. He didn't say that we would unleash our own talent. They wanted the input of fresh ideas. So while what you're saying makes sense, but I think you have to lay the groundwork for that, Dash, and not just say that this is a hackathon we're organizing next month, guys, go crazy. People need to feel safe, and I don't think just having a one-off hackathon creates that safe environment for people. I guess, like, because corporate culture is so embedded, right? People need to feel that, hey, our bosses are really serious about this. Yeah, we can go crazy with the ideas there. So
yeah, but you can't keep waiting to have a long runway. You could just get like what Inba is doing. Have a hybrid and then quickly say,
hybrid.
let's do a let's do a 2-day quick one and see how it goes. And you'll be surprised. If you unleash, it's like kids. If you unleash their creativity from school, they just do things better sometimes.
Yeah.
And also, like, when we're doing this event, we also expose like the corporate setup, right? The bosses, the management level, to a lot more new things. They get to access new technology. They get to play around with new tools, for example. So it also expands their mind as well, because previously they're also stuck in doing what they do every day.
True.
But when they get involved in a program like this, suddenly they realize, oh, there are a lot more cool tools, collaboration tools, a lot more virtual tools you can use to do work. So, and they bring that into their corporate culture as well. You see, now they realize, hey, we can use all these tools to work remotely, for example. So it's also very beneficial to them, just participating in an event, organizing the event, because we expose them to a lot more new cool things that maybe people in the startup ecosystem, we take it for granted, right? We're always so connected to technology and latest trends. So when the corporate people come and join this kind of events, they get a whole education about what's cool, what's trendy, what are the new technologies, tools that people are using. So it's also which is why I call it startup and corporate innovation, right? So it's a mix of both. So while we are trying to innovate in the startup space for young people, there's also a lot of corporate innovation happening there. So it's always great to work with partners like that.
So I think Dash is dashing away. So I don't want to overuse his time. Dash, just wanted to get your final thoughts for our viewers today as you dash along. Dash, your final thoughts for us today.
Final thought is that I think what the ecosystem now needs is to create a funnel, because there's a lot of programs on the top trying to get startups to build and scale and do all those kind of things, but we need the groundswell of many people trying to do these kind of stuff, get the energy. I know some people call it all these are purely events, but actually you trigger a lot more people, and then you have a funnel coming up, and I think that's very important. So I think people like Inba and all are doing a great job, actually, even getting corporates to think through this kind of events. And Karam, the thing is, the interest didn't wane off, but I think what happened was there was a kind of a hackathon fatigue, because there was no tangible outcome people were looking at. It was always comes to a standstill. But what happens is it's already catalyzed a lot of hunger in people to look for and demand for the next level. And I think that's important to do. And like what now Cradle is doing is putting a project at the end. That's another kind of a great hackathon where there is a project, or there's not just cash prize, but there's a real client hungry waiting, and that will push entrepreneurs or startups to think customer first, even before thinking technology first, to talk to the customers, to solve a real problem. I think that's a real value in what the Cradle model is.
Fantastic. Well, thanks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Really appreciate your
Thank
thoughts. I
you,
mean,
thank
that's
you, thank you for having me. And sorry, Inba, for taking the limelight away from
Hey, no worries,
the
no
two
worries.
the two
Don't
the
worry.
two
You
eyes
wanted
of
your
Karam.
thoughts.
It should be on you. Okay, please, bye.
Yeah. There you go. All right, thanks. Keep
Thanks,
vlogging
thanks,
and go
thanks.
say hi to Kyrie. All right. See you later. Yeah.
Take
So
care,
Dash
Dash.
off to get Kyrie to say a few things. But Imba, just to close out your final thoughts.
My final thoughts. Well, I believe these kind of platforms should keep going. Like what Dash said, right? Uh, Ecosystem building work is not easy. Community building work is not easy. But sometimes people ask me, right? Why do you still need hackathons? Hackathons are useless. But
Mm.
to me, my answer is very simple, right? It's useless to you because you have grown out of that. It's no longer useful to you. But
Okay.
there's another 17-year-old, 18-year-old coming up now looking for a platform, looking for an opportunity where
Yeah.
you were maybe 5 years ago. So what happened to that guy or that girl, right? Especially with Jomhack, we have actually a very high female participation. Jomhack generally has about 20 to 25% of female participants, which is very high for a hackathon. And we do that. We are very proud of that as well. And even our clients notice that. They're like, oh, we actually got a lot of girls participating in this hackathon, and that's because we actually go out and make it a point to get more women involved in our events, to get interested in
Okay.
hackathons, in tech events, right? So yeah, generally we want to create opportunities, but we feel like the platform has to keep going on. Right now, of course, we try our best to get corporate partners involved so that we can get the money in, so that we can do these platforms, right? Because I alone can't just keep organizing 10 hackathons a year. I'm not a government agency or ministry. I'm
Yeah.
not getting funding, right? So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's a continuous challenge. I of course want to do more hackathons, but usually every 5 clients we talk to, maybe one will happen, right? But
Yeah.
the other thing is also tough, like earlier Karamjit was saying, why is it not easy to work with corporates? Even now, currently we're talking to another big corporate client, right? To do a hackathon. So they looked at what our work, who we worked with, great track record, but they're like, oh, but you can't go through the procurement process because you're not an events company. You don't have the minimum required events done or revenue made through events. So but I'm like, but you can't go and hire an events company that do product
Yeah.
launches or AGM or
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah.
stuff, right? Regular,
Yep. Got
events
it.
that they do. You can't get them to do a hackathon because they have absolutely no clue what this is,
So
right? So you definitely need me, which they understand, but the corporate structure, their whatever procurement
yeah.
process does not allow. So they're like,
Yeah.
oh, then we need to talk to a boss to make it work. I'm like, yeah, exactly, right? Now you have to make it work. So you
Yeah.
know
Yeah.
what
Yeah.
we do, and you want to do this. So then it's not my job to come
Yep.
and convince you anymore. You guys have to find a ways to figure it out and make it work. I mean, we have worked with big clients and big corporates, so obviously they can make it work, right? So those are the things I think that would discourage a lot of people. So you can't, which is why I don't see a lot of people doing this as well, because you have all these obstacles.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
So
it's
Imraj, yeah, so Imraj, I think one way is I can introduce you our Ramis guys also. I mean, I think that would be helpful because I think when you do, I mean, you don't call it. I mean, sometimes we have to rephrase it as from an event into an intervention, because I look at it as these are good interventions for innovation, good intervention for creativity,
yeah,
good internal, and there is some not just creativity that's unleashed, but there is potentially new products, new product introductions. There's potential process improvements. There's significant. So I think the positioning of it has to be as an intervention, right?
yeah,
And interventions, then it becomes something else from an event, but
yeah.
something different.
I
Yeah,
mean,
but I mean
I
that
call it startup and corporate innovation program. So it's definitely
yeah,
not a regular event.
yeah,
And
yeah,
but the thing is, it's great that now corporates are looking into it. They are looking into corporate
fantastic.
innovation. They want to do this, but they're also trying to figure it out, right? People
Yeah.
don't have a
So
clear direction how it happens. So we try to our best to help out, right?
fantastic. So thanks so much for your time. Just stick around. Karam's going to just share a little bit on some of the top 10 tech stories. He's got three tech stories. I think he talked about your story, Code for Life, and that story. But he also wants to talk a little bit about the shifting trends in jobs and recruitment from LinkedIn. Karam, you want to share a bit about that?
Yeah, maybe let me. Okay, I wanted to do the Roche one first, lah. Just real quick, right? We already kind of spoke about it a bit. I weaved it in, but they ended up having how many? Well, like 60 teams, 60, I guess, from 18 more than 50 teams from 18 universities. So they were very focused, Roshan, on picking universities because they wanted to unleash the talent of universities in Malaysia. And The good thing is, I think one of my criticisms of hackathons is that it's almost always male dominated. But the 3 teams that won the Roche one were all female teams. I was really excited about that.
Okay,
So
that's fantastic.
two were from Taylor's, one from Help University. So congrats to that. And I think the Roche guy also said something. He said that interacting with the students allowed his team, because they had a cross section of people from Roche, based in KL, taking part as mentors, as judges, right? And this gave them good exposure for people outside the ecosystem. So there's value there, lah. So it's good. It's good. And then Roche is planning to do one more, hopefully this year, and hopefully it's a physical one. I think that they felt that the online one, the advantage, of course, is that so many people can participate, right? But the downside is that the intimate human interaction, the spontaneous interactions you have, don't happen. And by the way, the Roche Hackathon was a 5-month event, they don't call it a hackathon, but they also call it an immersion experience. So of course you must have 5 months, right? And you need to have the physicality, because then the teams are coming, to your company and working with your people on site or whatever. So the closeness, the intimacy that happens with physical also is important. Hopefully they can get that done this year. But they were totally happy with what happened online. But they're hoping to go back to a hybrid at least this year.
That's good. So we've got about 2 minutes to about 15 minutes already.
So I'm only going to talk about the LinkedIn one. So the LinkedIn one is actually, we spoke about this, I think, early this year or so. And what LinkedIn is saying is that they do their Jobs on the Rise report, right? Jobs on the Rise 2021. And nothing new. They're just saying that the world has gone increasingly digital due to COVID. And a lot of jobs now, you must come equipped with basic digital skills. And we've also highlighted some of the key jobs. We focus, I think there are all kind of jobs there. You need a digital overlay, which we spoke about before. So people listen to the show are not surprised. But this LinkedIn one is just the most recent survey they've done. And they actually highlighted, like, you've got specialized engineering, cybersecurity, software and technology, data analyst. They actually highlighted the top skills you need for each of these, and also the kind of the roles, like job titles that have, and the locations where these jobs are available. Like, for example, for specialized engineering, it's in Jakarta, it's in Bangkok, and it's in Bintan, I think, right, in West Java, Indonesia. Then when they talk about cybersecurity, strictly in KL. So there's a lot of, I think it's because there are a lot of regional cybersecurity firms in Malaysia, right? And their jobs in KL. And I think Anbaraj by chance mentioned F-Secure, which is this Finnish cybersecurity company. They've got like 350 engineers working for them there, and guys like this. And then data analysts, you've got Bangkok, Jakarta, a city in Thailand called Cha Choing Sao or whatever. I'm mangling the name. And then in North Sumatra. So go and have a look at the article and find where the locations where they need the specific jobs. But the key takeaway is that digital skills are in demand for all kinds of jobs, right? Even more so this year than last year, even more so in 2022 versus 2021. It's a fact of the working world already, right? So never forget that.
Okay, so Imba's back with us. You talked. I mean, I guess the final thing is the KL Startup Summit, right? That's now virtual, and that's another great opportunity for everyone, right? So I think to wrap it up, it's Chinese New Year. And as customary, Karam, you give out umpaos to some of our viewers, right? So what's your and Imbar, what's your kind of wish for Chinese New Year? Any special wish and greeting that you'd like to do?
Well, generally, I just want everybody to stay safe. I think currently the pandemic is being tough for everyone. So not just health-wise. I think there's a education crisis slowly brewing, and also economic-wise, people are struggling. So I just hope that everyone will find a way to stay safe and take care of themselves, and also try to overcome this situation and hopefully survive. Right, another year to go, hopefully. So, and while we continue to do what we do in the startup ecosystem, in the entrepreneurship ecosystem, we try to create opportunities and help people. I just wish people will stay safe. That's, I think, the most important thing now, right?
Okay, and Karam, any final thoughts for our viewers as we close up today?
Yeah, so it's interesting to find that corporates, if it's targeted, they do find value in hackathon. So maybe this trend, and you mentioned corporate innovation. So I guess hackathons is one tool within the corporate innovation bag, right? You've got various things also. So this is one tool, and looks like it's a tool that had lost its luster, but maybe it's coming back now. And I think corporates in Malaysia, when they realize that, hey, Hong Kong is doing a regional hackathon, must be things like that will trigger other corporates to say, hey, we should take a serious look at it, right? Because nobody wants to be left behind. So
because
that's good.
I mean, it's definitely because for me, I tell like my partners, if before they go into more complex corporate innovation stuff, hackathon is like your first taste into it, right? So if you guys can do a hackathon, you can work with the startup and tech community, then you can go on to do other things, right? Then you can be more ambitious. But to me, hackathon is a great way for the corporate to have a taste of this, to get a sneak preview into working with young people, tech community and startup community. So
And I
that's
guess-
why I always suggest this first as the corporate innovation part. And then after that, then they get more ideas and they can do all kinds of programs after that.
Correct.
Yeah.
So I guess with government also, with what Kyrie did with Mosti, right? The My Hackathon. So that was 6 states in the 6 regions in the country, right? They had individual teams from there. So you democratize the people's participation also, because if you have a hackathon and you filter, almost always it's Klang Valley based teams that are shortlisted. So this is also, I think, people like Kyrie said, in government now, you give more people a chance to come up with solutions. So that's good. And I think the last
our
point
events usually we have nationwide participation. Previously when our physical hackathons, we have teams from like Penang joining Johor, we have teams from Sabah Sarawak flying in. But now that we are virtual, more people have opportunity to
More
join. So we
people,
get a lot of good feedback. A lot of people are messaging us and saying like, "Hey, thank you for doing a virtual one now.
Nice.
Now we're able to participate." So even our last hackathon, we had some winners from Sabah, Sarawak. We posted the trophy, so they all received the trophy in the mail. So it's definitely we try to access. Of course, we don't have the resources of Mosti, but in our small capacity, we try our best to reach out to as many young
course.
people as we can, right? But yeah, my hackathon was also great. I'm very happy that finally the government decided to do that, because I've been sharing this idea with some of our friends in the government agencies, right, to do a nationwide, like a national hackathon program. I have been talking about this for the last few years, and I'm just happy that finally they did do it. But of course, the format is a bit different. To me, I don't really see that as a hackathon. It's more like an incubation program. Also, I think a lot of the participants who went in and won, like the 18 teams, right? They actually startups. Most of them are startups already in the space, running the startups. So they are not exactly like new talents coming into the ecosystem. I see more of an idea incubation program, and with the funding, and hopefully they go on to do great stuff. I'm actually involved in the program as well as a coach, as one of the mentors. So hopefully that'll be a very interesting program. Yeah. So I'll be coaching one of the teams. With the follow up, right? Because they have to now deploy the idea with one of the government ministries for them to even get 250,000 funding. So yeah, definitely amazing program. And I'm very happy that
250,000, Roshan. 250. Each of 18 teams got 250,000, and with the hint of further funding if the solution meets the needs of the client. So fantastic.
They can do a pilot project. They can deploy it within the government agency or the ministry, and it works. They can probably implement it nationwide, which is a great opportunity, and a great opportunity to bring in these young talents into that fold, right? Because otherwise, a startup cannot, go through some government procurement process. You can't bid for a government tender, right? And win it. So this way, all the startups have this amazing opportunity to do all kinds of innovation and to work together with the government, which is great, because they have the resources, right?
Yep.
Yeah, fantastic. So it's one already an hour 60 minutes. When Karam first said today's show will be about 20 minutes, I will laugh a few
30
times.
minutes. 30 minutes.
But because Karam, okay. But anyway, it's Chinese New Year. It's wanted to wish everyone a happy New Year, and in every New Year, right? One of the things that people wish each other is luck. We want to wish each other luck, and our producer insists that I must end by wishing everybody good luck, and also teach them how to get a higher return on their luck. So he wants us to end with a little advice on how we can increase our return on luck. So with that, thank you for watching TED Talk, everyone. We'll be back next Friday, 5 p.m., and we will close it out. So we'll say goodbye now, and we'll close it out with our producer's favorite video on luck, or more importantly, how you can increase your return on luck. So this is Tech Talk Friday for you. Anbaraj, thank you so much for your time. Karam, always
Thank you so much
appreciate
for having me.
your wisdom and your candor and your intensity to push our guests to the limit, and to force Dash to come up on the phone while in the middle of defend his dignity and to defend his hackathons. We much appreciate all that. So as always, it's been Tech Talk Friday, and now we have how you, Happy Chinese New Year, how you can return or increase your return on luck. So goodbye, everyone. Have a great weekend. Happy Chinese New Year.
Happy
Go
New
ahead,
Year. Kong Yi Joy.
your
Kong Yi
luck.
Joy.
Hey Julia, guess what? The company's sending you to the conference in Shanghai.
Nice. So lucky. Didn't you just go to the conference in Sydney about 2 months ago?
Yes, but it was a lot of work. Actually, which reminds me, if I'm going to Shanghai, I better go polish off my notes. Catch you all later.
Okay. Julia is so lucky. I never get to go to any of these conferences. First, it was Sydney. Then now Shanghai. She's so lucky. You know, some people just have all the luck, like Julia. I mean, we all do the same amount of work, and we get nothing.
Oh my god, Jermaine can stop talking about Julia's luck. That's all she does. Wine, wine, wine.
Instead of work, she doesn't realize Julia does her job and she does it well.
Yeah.
It's no wonder the boss takes her to all these conferences.
People think she's lucky, but she just has the right attitude. She's always humble, she's curious about learning new things, and she just takes challenges head on.
Researchers John Harrington and Xia proposed that there are two types of luck in this world. Luck you cannot affect, such as your family or blood type, and luck you can influence, like business success and career progress. They believe that most business luck is determined by you and the mindset that you carry. Remember, luck is as much about your attitude as it is about probability. So create your own luck. Now, here are some tips on how you can increase your luck at the office. Number 1, be a believer. Believe that your future is going to be great, and it will. Number 2, be action biased. Keep trying, and you'll ultimately succeed, and luck will be on your side. Number 3, be aware of your surroundings and continue to search for opportunities. And finally, never eat alone. Build and maintain a strong social network that may bring you new opportunities.
Kat, did you hear? Julia just got lucky again. She's going for a course in Tokyo.
Hey, Jermaine, if you spend more time working and proving yourself rather than complaining about Julia's luck, maybe the bosses would have taken notice and sent you to Tokyo.
What are you trying to say? You don't think I work enough?
Well, think about it. All those times you have spent talking and complaining about how lucky Julia is could have been spent seeking out opportunities.
She makes a good point. Okay, I shall create my own opportunities.
Jermaine,
Awesome work. Excited?
Yup. If it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be on this trip to Tokyo. You really inspired me.
Well, you know what? Every day is a new day to seek opportunities. Now, you ready to kick ass in Tokyo?
Yup.
Let's go.
A great weekend. Take care. Bye bye.